Hey, what's happening? Paul Ingram here with Collie Center. It is a beautiful morning this morning, and it is a perfect time to get some collie training in. And I figured, why not have you stand on up and get a little bit of training in with me right now. So we're gonna do a little bit of knife training. Make sure you have a training knife. If you don't have a training knife, we have a few different types available at our store over at colliecenter.com. Obviously, you can get a metal or steel training knife. These are really nice. They're stainless steel, so you don't have to worry about them rusting or anything if you leave them outside or something like that. So we always have something like this available. We've got more like the kind of cheaper version if budget's a little bit tighter or what. Then we have these nice hard plastic ones. And then we also have these rubber training knives, which we really like these here at Collie Center for sparring because they're flexible, right? So that way when you're stabbing each other and stuff, obviously you still want to wear eye protection, hand protection, stuff like that, but at least these are safer to train with. So a lot of times when I'm doing some solo training like this, and it doesn't matter, I'll use the metal, I'll use something that's a little bit more rigid, something that has a little bit more of a realistic feel in my hand. So let's get on to some basic knife drills that I've been working on, and you can join me and work on these skills with me. All right, first up is our basic thrusts. We're gonna jab out this left hand, and we're gonna come into what's called our one thrust, which goes right to the center line. Any of the center line targets, really. All right, and then we're gonna cut this over, and then we're gonna come backhand to the number 2 thrust, and then we're gonna cut this over, and then number 3, which is the forehand thrust, and then we're gonna slash this down just like that. So I'm gonna start with the left hand. That's so that you can distort your opponent's vision. And then you come in, bop. There's a lot of applications for it. 2 is the backhand, 3 is the forehand, and then we're gonna have this recovery slash down. So jab out the left hand, center line thrust, backhand thrust, forehand thrust, and then cut it back down. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and then recover. 1, 2, 3, and recover. Pretty simple, not too hard. Now on this backhand thrust, you can thrust anywhere. This would be going to the opponent's right side of the body. Pretty much anywhere from the liver, into the lungs, into the armpit, into the neck, into the face, into the eyes, anything like that. So, and then same thing on the forehand side as well. Okay, and then all the way down. Boom, boom, boom. Now we're doing these full range of motion thrusts. This is how I like to start everybody off in their training, to really understand the full range of motion on your movements. This doesn't mean that you're going to be thrusting all the time, you know, ripping the knife all the way through like this, or making these, you know, big movements. Sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're going to tighten them up. Okay, so I want you to practice both ways. Practice with the full range, the full potential of the movement. Just do a couple reps like this. And then a little bit tighter reps as well. Okay. What's really important is that we're going to what we call the natural break positions on the body. And that's when we're going fluid all the way through the center on our forehand, or on the number 1. We're going all the way up to the shoulder here. Look how my thumb is touching the shoulder right there. Okay? All the way through. What we do not want is to have this habit where we're stopping the knife somewhere out here, because now the tip of the knife is coming right back at you. So if you were to lose your balance, trip, maybe get bumped into something, or your opponent crashes in and you're only here, right, then you don't want this going into yourself. So we're understanding the natural break positions on the body, the break points, so that way we can strike with full speed, full power. We clear our body and we keep ourselves safe. So right there. Now on the backhand, right, we're opening this up. So there's not really a natural break position over here. But on the forehand, we're gonna break it where the thumb goes right to the humerus right here, right between the delt and the tricep, that little notch right there in the arm. Okay, we don't want this to come over the top because it's on a horizontal. Okay, you don't want the tip to go right back towards your neck. So you bring the thumb back to your humerus right there, and then you slash this down. So just understanding these natural break positions on the body allows you to strike full speed, full power, and you never have to worry about running your knife into yourself. Okay? Or your training knife, because if you're using like the metal training knife, it will stab you. It'll go in. So just kind of work on that. A couple little details right there. So whether I'm doing my full range of motion or even if I'm kind of tightening it up, I'm still going to those natural break positions on the body. Now the left hand here, I've made some videos on this in the past. The left hand's not slapping the bicep here. Okay, I'm not like trying to do this. Okay, what's happening is that the bicep is going to the hand. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense there. We're not chasing our arm around with our left hand like that. Okay. Boom, boom, right there. The left hand just stays in what we call first position, right at the plexus. Okay, right there. Okay, then we're going to come into our 1, 2, and our vertical right here. So we have 3 cuts, 1, 2, and then vertical. 1, 2, vertical. 1, 2, vertical. Okay. Again, starting off with the full range of motion, so that way we understand the full potential of the arc of the strike. And then we can start to tighten things up. Okay. But you want to make sure that you have the control to strike your weapon both ways. The full arc potential, and then being able to do your shortcuts, which is going to give you more speed, but your full arc potential is going to give you more power and more coverage. Sometimes people are like, you don't want to strike like that in a knife fight. There's times when we're sparring, there's times that you do and there's times that you don't. That's what we find. So you be your own judge. I don't need to tell you what to do. Okay, so we have our basic slashes on top, and then we can come back into our thrusts, which are on the bottom. Okay. If you know some of the footwork and how to coordinate your footwork, you can throw some of that in. But we're just going to move nice and easy between our slashes up on top and our thrusts down on the bottom. Let's see how the thrusts are kind of coming upwards a little bit, or horizontal. And then our slashes are coming downwards. And this is all we're working on. This is all I'm doing this morning. That's it. Sometimes I'll take a strike out. Maybe I'll take out the vertical a little bit. Okay. Maybe I'll come out and slash, thrust to slash, thrust to slash, slash to thrust. You can kind of play around a little bit with the with what your with your combinations here, right? Vertical slash, up that center line thrust, down to 2, right? So you can play around with that, but I'm staying within the confines, within the limitations of these particular movements and these 2 isolated drills. Okay, that's it. It is through limitation that you can really build creativity, okay? And really start to understand your movements. Right there. Little added bonus, if you'd like, you can flip your knife around into the Pikal grip, forward grip, or what we call sock, reverse grip, or what we call the pikal. I don't care if you want the blade edge on the inside or outside. That's totally up to you. Okay? But we could take these exact same movements, and now we have the slashes on the bottom, and then we have the thrusts up on top. So same movements, it's just what we call the transference of skill. Okay? And you just move around with it and have fun and just practice your basic techniques and movements on the knife. So that's my training this morning. It's very simple. I'm just gonna move around just like that, probably for the next 45 minutes to an hour, and slowly build up my footwork and the speed and the intensity. I might go into like one other striking pattern, maybe once I'm about 45 minutes into it, kind of more near towards the end. But what's really important is that you're spending an adequate amount of time developing one or two sets of skills, and you're not overloading where you're trying to do like 28 different things, 28 different drills and 28 different movements or 50 different things. Keep your training nice and just kind of short as far as the information goes, and then go for consistency in the performance of those skills. And then try to push it a little bit more. Try to go a little faster. Try to go a little bit more intense. Try to go just like 1%. Try to push the footwork a little bit more. And just explore the movements. Kind of be a little bit of a mad scientist in the laboratory and kind of see what works and what doesn't really work. When you're pushing your body, it gives your body the opportunity to learn how to correct its imbalances. Your body will already naturally know that. Okay, but you have to give your body that chance. You have to kind of bring it to its maximum, so that way you give it its chance to learn what its maximum is, and then how it recovers if it exceeds that maximum. That makes sense? Okay, if you're doing that, then you're training. There's a difference between practice and training. Use your practice to warm up. Use your practice if you've only got like 5 minutes while you're waiting for the kids to get ready to go, or whatever. You're waiting for the water to boil, and then you're just going to kind of practice a form. Practice is to maintain a level of either performance or information that you already know. Training is when you're putting a demand on further skill development. Okay, that's the difference between the two. So here in the South, once I stop moving, I get like a whole bunch of gnats flying around me. It's just how summertime is here. So just kind of keep that in mind, but go have fun, explore these movements, and then I'll catch you back here next time.